You know, it took me so long to think of something witty that I eventually just gave up. This is Forsaken by the Gods. Forsaken by the Gods is a game that I'm so upset I had to wait so long to be able to play again. It is the unique idea of having two stories play out from two different perspectives at the same time, alternating at the beginning of each chapter. But whether you're playing as Sun the pirate or Kane the captain, both princes and their entourages have a barrel of enjoyment with their stories, and neither one feels like it's lacking more than the other. Thus, I'll divide the video into three different segments. Segment 1 will handle Sun's story, his party members, and the gods he faced along the way. Segment 2 will be the same, but for Kane's story, and Segment 3 will tackle the game's ratings, along with a few other minor things. So let's get started! Picking up from Chapter 3, as Chapters 1 and 2 are covered already, Sun's story picks up as he goes to confront the God of Dark, which feels like a wild step up. We went from the Water God to the Dark God, but whatevs, it's cool. Starting as Sun and Hestral, the duo head off to greener pastures and find Kasahara, who, at least in my experience, is the unluckiest woman in existence when it comes to combat. I blame it on her being ginger. You soon go to save Shinzu from being given the Salem witch treatment, and the four team up and head to the Dark Ruins. After fighting off occultists, the four obtain the key and head off to the Dark Shrine to summon the Dark God. They kill the god and grant Kasahara dark magic powers. After an intermission, that is Chapter 4, Chapter 5 is where I'm forced to learn how punishing this game can be without proper strategy, as every fight at each ruin has one big boss and a few grunt minions to back it up. Here, I learned that confusion from Shinzu, plus blind from Kasahara, plus evasion boosts also from Kasahara, means that between 3 and 4 of the enemies on screen are blindly wailing their arms around and hitting nothing, which took me 48 minutes of throwing myself at a brick wall to figure out. After embarrassing myself that badly, thank God I can choose what footage I use. The group secures the key to the Lightning Shrine, and after killing the God of Lightning, granting Shinzu electric magic, it frustrates Hestral due to him not having magic at this point. Chapter 7, the last chapter I played with Shin's group, introduces the best goddamn man in existence, Neji. He joins the party and brings two very important status conditions with him, Terrify and Bleed. This also is the first god that doesn't have a traditional magic element associated with it, which is the god of beasts, and take a wild damn guess who ends up with this god's power. After going through a mine to the beast ruins and learning the beauty of cauldrons, I got to the fight at the ruins and discovered that Neji has a skill that can inflict terror on all enemies. And terror is one of many skills that completely immobilize a person until it wears off, so it helped make this fight so much easier. Then it's off to the beast shrine where bleed proves its worth. Percentage fixed damage each turn is absolutely insane for the literal eons it lasts for. Which helps because some of these later god fights feel like a slog, giving Neji beast magic and ending their story for this video. While the gameplay felt very samey from chapter to chapter, with the only things really changing on the enemy's side being the looks and attacks of the enemies, I still felt like I was having a blast with Sun's story, especially because his story has more permanent characters earlier in the party, which is good. Now then, let's get to my favourite moment before I get into Sun's party. This little moment here with Neji and Hestral. It's a small moment in the grand scheme of the game, but it explains so much about both characters, and gives Hestral a haircut and a makeover, which I much prefer than his original design. Hestral was the character I felt the least about the design of, so, like I said, I prefer this one more than the original. It also shows Neji as a considerate and thoughtful person while also being curious about the world around him, while being tactful enough to not ask about it brazenly in front of them. Now then, let's look at Sun's party. Sun's party is the most like D&D party ever. Like you have a kidnapped prince and his best friend who is the son of his kidnapper, a ninja and his sister who feels like the only one not on crazy pills, and a wolfman who carries himself like a distinguished gentleman who apparently knows how to give haircuts. And most of them can throw magic spells around. I love it. Sun is the first of the two princes, and he's the one I like a teensy bit more. He is the first one to get magic, of course, and he gets water magic, because he's a pirate. Sun's character kit is pretty simple. do damage, and do more damage. He's a traditional DPS class with no real way of self-sustain. He can crank out some crazy damage numbers if he's left to his own devices, and his water magic can inflict soaked, although I've never had it happen myself. Hestrel is the second character who joins Sun's party, and it was never up for conversation as to why. It's revealed in the haircut scene that Sun was ready to try and beat Hestrel's father bloody after cracking Hestrel with a bottle, which shows the bond these two have formed despite their unfamiliar circumstances. Hestrel's kit is pretty similar to Sun's up until the haircut scene. Then he trades raw damage for a second attack and a shanty that boosts the party's defense, which can help make fights against non-magical enemies much easier. He also has one of the few 4-hit combo skills in Sun's party. Kasahara is the third character who joins Sun's party, and she fills the role of a control support character who can blind enemies and boost the party's evasion. She's also always the first one in Sun's party to eat the dirt when a fight gets rough, at least in my experience. Kasahara's kit is limited outside of niche builds, and she brings physical control to a fight. So with the skill that forces enemies to use physical attacks, such as Confusion, Kasahara functions as a pseudo-tank for the group. She also carried another of the 4-hit combos, which is nice, and her magic inflicts apathy, which is so fucking funny. But I do feel that Kasahara would have benefited a lot more if her kit was in the other party, and you'll see why later. Shinzo is introduced to us tied to a pole and nearly burned alive Salem witch style, but he wastes no time and becomes an incredibly dependable ally, despite the ninja garb and the traditionals that come with that. He brings thunder magic to the table, which bumps him up in my eyes, because electricity is always my favourite type of magic. Shinzu's kit is also a support kit, but he focuses on bulk-inflicting confusion and healing the team for small amounts, rather than confusion and evasion, helping to offset the amount of healing items needed in combat. Apart from that, he feels very in the background compared to the others, which is ironic considering he's a ninja. Neji kicks ass. He's a wolfman with a lot of uniqueness to his personality, a more weathered sort of character who seems like he'd play a straight man to this group. But I don't know how intentional this was, but goddamn, there's so much homoerotic subtext in the haircut scene, calling him a straight man for anything seems icky. He's just as chaotic as the rest of Sun's team, but he's a lot more controlled in the chaos. His kit is a hybrid DPS support, inflicting Terrify and Bleed and being able to heal allies, while also doing some crazy damage numbers with the last of the 4-hit combos I've seen thus far from Sun's party. He also has Beast Magic, but I don't really know what that does, because I'm not that used to it yet. Overall, here's how I'd rank Sun's crew. All 5 of them, I think, are really fun characters. Kasahara just seems to be the one that's the biggest stick in the mud compared to the rest of the party, who seem very uncontrolled in their chaos, and that is very much because they're not tied to a royal castle like the other party is. With all of that wrapped up in a neat little bow, let's move away from Sun's team for the moment and onto Kane's. Chapter 4 is where Kane's story picks up for this recording session. Kane is the second prince, and his character dynamics with the rest of his team often leave him spinning around in circles, chasing after them. And he heads off from the castle with Tai after informing the king of Queen of what they've learnt about the gods. From there they go to find Fioria, a priestess friend of theirs, to garner more information about what the gods are doing. From there, the trio head to the plant ruins and carve out their way to the key to the shrine. Then go to confront the plant goddess and grant Tai plant magic, allowing them to move a boulder blocking the light temple. In Chapter 6, they move the boulder and head to the light ruins, but not before finding Lute, a mercenary who helped Sun in Chapter 1. Lute confirms to Kane that his brother is alive, and the group obtains the key to the light shrine. Lute parts ways with the party at the shrine, and the remaining 3 head deeper into it, where after an exhaustingly long fight, they conquer the light god and grant Fioria light magic. This chapter ends with the group planning to head to a prison island where the poison ruins are hidden underneath it. In Chapter 8, the trio head to the island, eventually finding an archer trapped in a cell, having been stranded there when a ship wrecked, and hiding out while everything blew up around him. Rife joins the team upon being freed, and the slog through the jail into the poison ruins begins. After a liberal usage of colding and a bit of save scumming, the party obtains the key to the poison shrine, kills the poison god, and grants Rife poison magic, where he drops the hardest line in existence about how he feels like poison for what he's doing to the gods. Kane's story, while not having the emotionally hard-hitting scenes like the haircut scene, has a lot more quiet moments between the characters, especially Fioria. Her moments where she questions what everything was for and all the work she'd done was for are amazing. And for what limited time we've seen of him, Rafe's lines are unfathomably amazing. Kane's party is only 4 compared to Sun's 5, but I think Kane's party's better because of it. In contrast to Sun, who's just as involved in the chaos as the rest of the party, Kane is the straight man for his group's chaos. His personality is the most stoic of either party, allowing him to rein in the chaos much easier. His potential romantic dynamic with Fioria is also incredibly fun and makes the whole party feel a lot more connected. His kit plays similarly but radically different from Sun's. Kane plays much more like a tank, with defense boosts, MP draining, and multi-hit combos that do low damage. To contrast Sun, Kane uses fire magic with a chance to inflict burn with it. Tai is the general harbinger of chaos and has the best dialogue lines out of the entire party. He plays as a support DPS hybrid, lowering crit evasion and being able to give an ally complete immunity to magic, even reflecting it. While he's the most chaotic of the party, his plant magic makes him dangerously consistent. With the ability to inflict Ensnare on some bosses, rendering them immobile, Tai is a must-bring to most engagements in his chapters, which is good that you can't not bring him. When this game set up its basic plot, killing the gods the people worshipped because the gods turned on them, I expected nothing from the perspective of one of those worshippers, but Fioria is a priestess for these gods. Her perspectives are vital to see how the general public would see things. Her learning that the gods she worships so dutifully are turning against her is amazing. Her kit's pretty basic. She's a traditional support with one big damage skill. Her lullaby is vital for any big battle in the ruins, as controlling the frequency of attacks is crucial to win in these fights, but her light magic inflicting blind is incredibly useful at helping break down the enemy attack rates and minimize the damage taken. Rafe is a late addition to the show, but not an unwelcome one. He's got some great wit and amazing personality, along with mental crowd control abilities to back up Kane's team in a neat little bow. Rafe's kit has both an AoE damage skill and a skill that can inflict paralysis, allowing you to deny enemy turns with ease as long as you're faster than them. He helps with cleanup during harder fights alongside Fioria's lullaby. He also has poison magic, but again, I haven't had the time to investigate what that does for him just yet. With all of that on the table, here's the ranking for Kane's team. His team is smaller and Rafe only joins in Chapter 8, but that doesn't mean that it's not just as good, if not better, than Sun's. The closer dynamic and closer knit group between Tai, Kane, and Fioria means that those three gel so much better than pretty much all of Sun's team that really only has Sun and Histriel gel. And altogether, the 9 characters that are central party members go as follows. This is really just kind of kept to basics. Fioria and Histriel are both easily the best part of their respective storylines. Niji and Rafe also are really good. They're late additions to the show, but they both ooze personality, and everyone else below Tai is just kind of there. Again, Kane is easily kind of the weakest of Kane's own storyline, which is really funny, but nothing is less stick in the mud than Kasahara, which is weird because I said Kane was more stoic than Kasahara, but, whatever.
This game suffers a big case of no-dash cityitis, which does limit the handling of the game and makes the city sections feel like molasses, but combat itself feels more like a puzzle with a dash of luck than normal combat. Figuring out which status conditions need to be inflicted and at which time is incredibly thrilling, and brute force will not win you fights, as your gear is always slightly behind where you want to be. Apart from that, it's nice to be able to tell at a glance if a character has magic or not, as if they don't, their MP is hard set to 1. Histriel also getting an upgrade with the haircut scene helps keep him up with the others, as it seems he misses the magic every other time. Outside of that, healing items are plentiful and always worth keeping on hand in or out of battle. Cauldrons are always great to have on hand, as they will fully heal you outside of battle, and enough gear pieces drop from bosses or chests to be able to keep on par with the enemies. My only concern is that it seems like weapon and armor names have been changed and the chest not updated to reflect that. Thankfully, it's a minor thing. Now, as funny as it would be to rank the two stories separately, this isn't Demon King Defiance, so we won't do that. The usual parameters, the usual 5, let's do it. The story is pretty wash and serve. Really, the story's draw here is the constant swapping between the two parties, but because the story itself feels repetitive, chugging through 6 hours at once feels like a form of water torture. This game benefits a lot more from being a pick up and put down game, but without a quest log to track what you're doing, the story can be lost if you put it down for a while. So I'll give story a 3 out of 5. It's pretty good, but very repetitive, and unless it starts shaking up the formula, it won't be changing much in the future. The characters are all amazing. Both parties have standout characters, but Fioria, Neji, and Kestrel carry the game on their backs. The haircut scene fleshes out so many characters in one single scene, like Kestrel, Neji, Sun, they're all fleshed out all at once, and with barely any physical changes between everything. And Fioria's questioning of faith connected to me with my own questions of what I was and if the life I was living was one worth it. Granted, that wasn't a religious questioning, but I still connected to Fioria that way, which is what you want from a game. I'm going to give character a 4 out of 5. The combat is tricky to rank, because I do like the reliance on status conditions as it forces you to track status turns and choose your moves wisely, but it relies so heavily on luck putting the statuses up and being faster than the thing you need to get the status on to deny it for the longest possible time. It sometimes feels like you're just flipping coins. The magic is nice, but feels very cut and paste with some animations changed, so because of this, I can't give combat anything higher than a 3 out of 5. Exploration, as I mentioned before, suffers courtesy of Nodash Cityitis, but the locations are gorgeous. The Thunder Ruins, Darkness Ruins, Plant Ruins, and Poison Ruins all look gorgeous, no matter how much of a slog going through them may be. The world map is also really easy to explore and hard to get lost in, although the lack of anything to find in the overworld makes it hard to rank it anything higher than a 3 out of 5. I really enjoyed this game. This game's enjoyability comes from its characters and combat more than anything else. With amazing character interactions and incredibly engaging battles on top of the wonderful character designs, I really can't give it lower than a 4 out of 5 for enjoyability. Which gives us a game with a final score of 17 out of 25. We officially have another tie, folks, this time with Creature Hunter G+. So we need to break out the secret 5th category, Ensemble. As per usual, this is rating the reoccurring ensemble cast, or the constants in an ensemble, so like merchants and the like. Looking at the ensemble cast of Creature Hunter, most of them are merchants, and the rest are basically merchants with the services they offer, such as the Dango salesman and pretty much all of the like night markets and the Melder and all that. Compared to Forsaken by the Gods' ensemble, which consists mostly of merchants and snobby royals, it comes down to personal opinion for me, and I'll say Forsaken's ensemble is better, giving them the edge over Creature Hunter.
Well, here we are, the end of another video. And this one is special, because this is the last video of the season before we re-look at Creature Hunter G+, finishing that off and seeing how the game changes in my rankings after its completion. So with that in mind, thank you very much, but I would also like to extend a special thank you to both the game devs and fans of RPG Maker alike, as I officially hit 1,000 views total during the production of this video, which is more than I could have possibly originally expected, so just thank you. I also have a few more games in the burner to look at for the potential part 3 to the RPG Maker quick reviews, so I'll finish up Creature Hunter and get ready to carve ahead for Season 2, which hopefully will feature games from both MV and With, while also hopefully looking at my own personal projects. I am struggling to figure out what I want to work on first, but I'll figure it out eventually one way or another. All in all, I'm Mike Ramacha, and I'll be seeing you in the next video on Creature Hunter G+. Thank you and goodbye.